Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I hope that you are doing amazing. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you are enjoying the markets. So we got some greens today. So I like to see that. I woke up this morning with kind of a smile, a jump in my step because of the markets. So really good to be here today. We are going to be talking about all things Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining and quantum expeditions. We're here to answer your guys' questions. If you in the audience, if you have anything you want to talk about, let us know. We'd rather you direct the conversations. There's a lot of talkers up here. YouTubers are monologuers. And so if you don't direct us, it could end anywhere and it might get crazy. So we're not going to have everybody go around and introduce themselves because there's a lot of people here. We got a full house, which I'm amazing just to hear everybody's insights. These guys all know more about Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining than I do. So I am here to facilitate their knowledge out to you through the YouTubes. So I'll just go around. I'm James Pelton. I'm a YouTuber. You're on my channel probably, so you probably know me. This is Action over to my right.
No, they're probably watching this on my channel, but that's okay. Go ahead, James.
Okay. Oh yeah, they could be. That's true. Okay, whether you're watching on, okay, you could be watching on Actions, but this is Action. He's a YouTuber. Go subscribe to Action. If you're watching from my channel, you don't subscribe to Action. He is a good guy, and he got the Bitcoin hat on today, so that's perfect. Then to his right, your friend Andy. I'm not familiar with him. Just kidding. He's a good friend. One of my first friends in the crypto space. He is also a YouTuber, and if you do not follow him, also go follow him. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. We appreciate it. Then we have Oz, Mighty, and Justin and Doug, who are all part of the QE team. And we'll hear from them here in a little bit just to get some updates on quantum expeditions. This is a project that I'm really excited about. I love Bitcoin. I believe in the future of Bitcoin. So I believe in the future of Bitcoin mining. So I believe in by the law of what is that? I was going to try to sound smart with some math law. The transitive property. I love quantum expeditions. So we'll hear from them. And then we have VoskCoin, which Vos, good to have you. He is one of the first YouTubers I watched that talked about Bitcoin mining back in the day. So I would watch his stuff, be like, oh, that'd be cool. I should set up my own mining rig in the back. And so that's been a lot of fun. So go subscribe to him on YouTube as well. So that's everybody. I think that's good introductions. So let's start with just talking about market conditions as they are right now. So we got a big green day, Bitcoin up 7% today. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to toss a grenade and then I'm going to mute and see who picks it up. What are your thoughts on the market? Where is it going? What's the rest of 2024 look like?
I'm going to add fuel to the fire here and say that Bitcoin is dead once again, right?
Once again, this, I thought this might have been the time it was going to zero, but what do you know? Andy, you always make me laugh with your the people that comment on your videos, just saying you're still in that scam Bitcoin. It's like, okay, yeah. So, but what do people think about the markets? What's going on with Bitcoin? What's coming up? What did the halving do? Talk to us a little bit about this.
Well, today is exciting. It's nice that we're doing this live stream on a day when Bitcoin decided to just wake up a little bit. So, hello. I mean, the inflation numbers came out in here in the U.S. and it was slightly below what was expected. So I think people are excited about that. Just before this went live, we invoked the mighty and powerful name of Roaring Kitty. Has entered back into the chat. Roaring Kitty has come back into the chat after 3 years of hiatus. So all kinds of wild stuff is happening on that front. Halving has occurred, which, traditionally very bullish long term for Bitcoin. And the halving itself was wild. The halving block, 840,000, was like 41 Bitcoin in total, 37 Bitcoin in fees, which was ridiculous, which I personally think is a sign of things to come later this year or next year. So my take is I'm still as bullish as I ever was, and it's nice to have an occasional respite from the sideways action of Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I really appreciate Andy. He just kind of laughed at me while I was getting into all the DeFi stuff. And he just kept telling me, hey, you should buy Bitcoin. And I'm like, yeah, that's so boring. Bitcoin is boring. I don't want to do that. So I kept buying the meme coins. I kept buying the DeFi projects, and I would try to get Andy in on them. He followed me into a couple and regretted it instantly. And meanwhile, every day he would just text me, hey, have you bought some Bitcoin yet? And eventually, after I lost enough in meme coins and DeFi, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to start just buying Bitcoin. And it actually worked out really well because I started buying like right at 16K is when I started to DCA in. So I've got a really good cost basis for my Bitcoin thanks to your friend Andy. So Andy, forever grateful to you for that.
Well, I'll weigh you down. That's what I'm good at. Just slowly wearing you down.
Yep, absolutely. So what's next for Bitcoin? Are we going to see new all-time highs? What are we gonna see by the end of 2024? What's going on in the news? Also, who is Roaring Kitty? Okay, I'm out of the loop. You guys got to fill me in.
So if you guys have Netflix, which I think most people do, Roaring Kitty is the lovely gentleman with the shoulder-length hair and the headband that was kind of involved inside of the first big GME pump for GameStop, which drove Gary Gensler crazy, and it drove most of your Wall Street like heavies crazy, simply because they're the only ones that should be doing market manipulation. How dare you plebeians do market manipulation? Who do you think you are? And it seems to be like kind of what just happened since Monday, because what was it? Unusual Whales announced yesterday that literally all 195.5 million active shares of GME traded in the past like 24 hours. It was crazy. So when you have this kind of like irrational market exuberance that comes in, it obviously buoys and it takes many ships with it. And so what we've seen upward trajectory movement in Bitcoin. I will leave Maddie to do more of the detailed analysis on that. As he and I have arguments about like what floors are and what ATHs should be and that kind of a thing. And he was at eToro. I was only at The Economist. But the gist of kind of what this has added to the market is a pull, not just on Bitcoin, but on alts and also on runes. And I don't know if you've been following the runes as well, but this is a new protocol that was issued right before the halving that cost a tremendous amount of gas fees simply because everyone was trying to get on network all at the same time. And the sort of like the benefit is like for those of us that are, you know, have ordinals in our mix, like we're giving away ordinals with some of our crowd raves. You're seeing all this new alpha enter the room. And all of this new alpha is happening around like new coin and token protocols that open the door for a tremendous amount of new wealth generation, but also just shenanigans, right? Because if you look at the names of these, because runes had to be like 14 digits long, the names are just ridiculous, but fun, yeah, at the same time, and probably a better bet than investing in Updog.
What's up, dog?
Oh, everybody had to jump in on that one. Oh my gosh.
Ran right into it. Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm looking at his Twitter right now. So did anybody get into the GameStop AMC stuff this time around, or did everybody steer clear?
I went to the U.S. Embassy today to renew my kids' passports, and I saw one of the dudes he had stocks up on his monitor. I'm like, hey, so did you get into GameStop? He's like, are you kidding me? It's too late. And I had to agree with him. I mean, if you're looking at Roaring Kitty's feed, bring it up. It's just a bunch of memes. It's nonsense. I mean, come on. Like, that dude, I mean, as much as I respect the GameStop movement and what it's about, you know, maybe sticking it to the man, it's actually a lot more about celebrating capitalism. And that dude won in a big way. And I think that I don't know what caused him to come back, but I'm pretty sure it has it has to do with money. So literally, like, he's not providing any like sort of fundamental analysis to go along with the memes this time. He did in the beginning. There was a lot of by the way, this is why I think that GameStop is awesome. This is why I think that we have an opportunity to short squeeze and knock out some of those hedge funds that we all hate. This time he's literally just memeing, and it's a bit blatant and obvious. So hats off to you for what you did before Roaring Kitty, but I mean, look at the chart. It's a big old spike, but unsustainable in my opinion. Humble
So
opinion.
like a meme coin? Is that what you're saying, Mati? It's literally like a meme coin?
It's like a meme stock.
So what about Pepe? Didn't that just take off once again?
Yes, Pepe also took off again. I would say Pepe actually is in some weird way has been driving the crypto markets a little bit higher, I think. That's not something that you usually tend to see, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, when people are investing in meme stocks, meme coins, I think the general gist, and everybody knows that the disclaimers apply. You know, a little bit of money, it's a gamble, and with gambling, a lot of the time you lose. It's not investing. It's not like Bitcoin, right? You just, Roaring Kitty is one person, and he has a huge platform, and even Elon Musk. I mean, he's just one person. He doesn't make the market. Markets are made up of many participants, millions and millions of participants around the world. Bitcoin is a network that is here to stay, and a lot of people are moving that towards its eventuality, and not just one person for one day sharing a few gifts that may be funny and entertaining and we might relate to, but do not actually add very much value.
I think one other thing, as far as trading stocks is, I mean, they freeze the trading all the time. So you get into a position and then they stop trading and then you stop watching it, you get busy or whatever. It's not like crypto. I can't just sync my sell order. And, that could make me really vulnerable to getting wrecked. You're playing a rigged game when you jump in that arena.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you guys a question? So when the markets are flat, like they've been for the last, they've been kind of just hovering here for a little bit. What do you guys do while the markets are flat? That's my question. I get that a lot, and I don't have a good answer.
Just stay the course for the most part. I mean, you can't, if it goes down a lot, you can't change everything you're doing because of that. You just got to stay the course, reevaluate, make sure that you're still doing the right things, and just ride it out. Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin goes down. So
I think the biggest thing is to not get emotional. It's really easy to get emotional when your portfolio just plummeted. You second guess everything. A lot of it's just kind of maintaining the original conviction you had. Like, it's like, dude, you thought this was the best thing ever last week, but like you quit now. Like, come on, man. And that,
well, it is. Yeah, and it's crazy. The chart chasers, like I told Andy, I got a text when Bitcoin hit all-time high a couple months ago, and it literally said, Bitcoin hit all-time high. What's the best way for me to buy? And just that mentality. But that's the way that most people think about things, is they look at the chart and they say, oh, wow, a lot of green candles. I should buy right now. But yeah, if you believe in the long-term future, that might be true for meme coins, possibly. You might not want to buy a meme coin after a bunch of red candles, but if you believe in the long-term future, then you actually want to see Bitcoin cheap. And I'm not just saying that. Like, if you believe in the long term, then if I want to buy some Bitcoin, I would like to see the price go down a little bit. So what is your guys's? I know we got different people that are doing different kinds of mining. Vosk, I know you're doing some of your own mining, and QE obviously doing mining. What is kind of a break-even Bitcoin price for you guys where it doesn't become profitable to keep mining?
Justin?
I've been told I'm not allowed to answer this question.
Oh, okay. It's secret.
It's got to get really, really low. It's got to get really low. So we've been profitable through this whole downturn. So even when, after the fees came down and all that, our income came down, but we haven't had a loss.
Yeah, so it's about being flexible and setting yourself up and anticipating a halving coming when it's clearly coming. So I mean, it's we knew it was coming. We knew that when we bought our miners, so we bought them knowing that, so that we could be efficient with them and be flexible with underclocking, overclocking, whatever the market dictates.
So this is how you ask that question, JP. Justin, higher or lower than 30?
I'm gonna jump in here and be a bit candid with y'all as the Chief Financial Officer of Quantum Expeditions. Happy to share on this live stream with all you folks. I mean, you guys are all miners. You know what it's like. Having is a gut punch. I'm sorry. There's no other way. There's no other way to spin that. There's no way to spin that positively. You know, you're making all this money before the halving, and suddenly, well, our miners are profitable. But I'm happy to share right now that the month of May, I mean, we're not going to be covering our operating expenses necessarily this month with with our Bitcoin revenues as we have the last few months. But
However,
we're taking steps to make sure that June, July, we'll get back to that point that we were. But yeah, that's what Bitcoin mining is. You can't really dodge it or deny it. We knew the halving was coming. We prepared for it the best possible way that we could. And our machines are profitable, which is great. But yeah, we had to tighten the belt like every other Bitcoin mining company out there, and we're in this for the long term. So we're already preparing for the next halving.
Yeah, I'm going to ask also your viewers to excuse my eating. We have a caucus tonight to elect our delegates for convention this fall to elect the president. So we're out in Queens. We're in the middle of nowhere, Queens. Headed to that a little bit later. We just had to jam some food, so I apologize for my shawarma and Turkish coffee. But what I wanted to add was this has gone through 3 different debt cycles in terms of answering the question, what is the floor? So in 1617, prior to the first major capitalization of like Riot and some of your larger mining companies, the floor used to be 16. Then after the second capitalization, most of those companies, their floor was like 32, 33. After all the debt refinancing that happened pre-halving last year, and there's 4 major companies, we have seen not one that's not of that group file for bankruptcy. Okay, and that's simply because if you look at the Van X stuff that's out there and all of their research, miners like us, like who's on this call, are the right miners to be investing in because we have low debt overhead, low operational overhead, and we're putting most of our money into machines. And as Maddie said, like we're not, we basically have about a 45, 60-day upset in terms of profitability, but then we're back to profitability because we're adding miners. The challenge that you have is that the floor question is a tricky one. Because if you're talking about a large company that has capitalized their debt multiple times, their floors are actually much higher because they're carrying a 60 to 70% debt load, meaning for every Bitcoin that they mine, 60 to 70% of that just goes to debt service, right? So that doesn't really leave a lot for profitability and operations. And then the other problem that Van Eck had was that they're paying outsized salaries to people, So how are you paying, millions of dollars in executive compensation when you're not really providing any yield or upside to your shareholders? You're not providing that shareholder value. And I think the groups here, Quantum, included, we're, at least for us, okay, because I don't know exactly how you guys are structured corporately, but we're looking to do one simple thing, which is what can we do to demonstrate to give back to the shareholders, but secondarily, what can we do to make sure that we're making the right decisions on energy, the right decisions on miners, and the right decisions on timing to build this and grow this forward? And it's a little bit of a winding answer, but you could be looking at multiple different floors based upon the type of company that you are. I'm going to echo Justin in saying our floor is pretty low, but it's those other factors that you need to kind of be taking into account when you're evaluating mining companies that are publicly traded, and also looking at, when you have privately held companies like ourselves.
Yeah, and I think something to keep in mind too, like piggybacking off of that, like with Quantum, our average joules per terahash, so basically how many watts does a miner use for every terahash, is down just above 21, which is way up there on the list of mining companies. So I know like your friend Andy and Voss do videos all the time on like how you can squeeze as much out of your miners as possible and make them as efficient and all that stuff. So I'm sure they could definitely go into that.
Okay. By the way, I have a severe thunderstorm, so if I get kicked off action, I assign you as the manager if my power goes out or something like that. But Doug, you were about to say something?
Absolutely. Yeah. So on what Justin was just speaking of, I was able to find a list of watts per terahash on some of these companies. So Oz is talking about their debt service, but also you've got to look at their watts per terahash. I see here that Iris is 29.5, Riot's 27.7, Marathon is 26.9, Clean Spark 26.4, and we're 21.13. So I think and the reason is real simple. I mean, it's not because we're magic. It's because our fleet of miners are a lot younger, a lot newer than what the guys that have been around for years, are sitting there mining with. So they've got old miners, they've got debt load on it, and then they've got those, marble floors and oak doors, and we don't have those Taj Mahals for our office, right? So
you got a Discord.
I don't know, Doug, your office looks pretty nice.
Right? That's a lot of gold right there.
Hey, that there, my friend, is Bitcoin. It's just facts. But there's a lot of things to what we do and why we do it, and things that I've read. One of the experts that was writing about, and I don't remember the name of the guy that wrote the article, but I remember what he said, is if you don't have the S19K Pros or S21s, then you've got a fleet you've got a miner that's not going to be making money real soon. And I'm pretty confident of that. So, but ours is
unless Bitcoin goes up, that'll bring them all back. Bitcoin goes to 120K from here, all those old miners are profitable again.
Yeah, that's true. And so that goes back to what, what is your belief system? I forget who said, the price of Bitcoin goes down. I mean, everybody knows that's when you DCA, right? You dollar cost average what you own. And so when Bitcoin was in the 60s, you still dollar cost average, especially if you're buying at 16, James. Right? That's awesome. But when you've got it, if you truly believe that Bitcoin's going to go to 100 or 280 or wherever, right? You're going to still be buying, regardless if it's up or down. Where we are today, we're under 100.
Yep.
So the problem, Doug, I think, is that a lot of people, they might say these things, but they don't actually act on it, right? A lot of times we hear, intelligent individuals like your friend Andy on this YouTube channel that I watch him on talk about he DCAs in, doesn't matter what's going on. He's not worried about the price. But when push comes to shove, like James just said it, he gets those notifications, all-time highs. I'm going to go buy, right? That's what people do, unfortunately. And honestly, I'm mining less now than I was before, like solo or by myself. And it's really because I don't have the time. I don't have the time to invest in some of these things. So I much rather designate a portion of my capital to mine elsewhere, to mine with people that I know are actually paying attention, that are going to look at selling profitably, making sure that the machines that they're running aren't just going to sit there forever until they become obsolete, that they're looking at making the right decisions at the right time. That is such a huge difference because I don't have the time that I wish I did, that I used to have. Now I'm actually dealing with well, all of these guys with a bunch of different other projects and everything else that I have going on in life, and it just got busy. So I am okay saying that I don't know the exact alpha that's happening today. I might know what's happening 2 days ago, but I'm not always up to speed 100% unless I look into it. And I rather deploy my capital a lot of times with people that are paying attention and really doing their due diligence to make sure they're making the right decisions at the right time.
Yep, absolutely. Well said, Action. Speaking of Action, we've got a comment from Action's YouTube. Not one of the biggest scammers, James Pelton. So, Action, you need to start talking better about me on your channel. I've been trying to lose weight, so hopefully I'm not a big scammer anymore.
I found your weight.
Yeah. Thanks, Action. I appreciate it.
It'll do that. So
yes, yeah.
It's
you're
the
doing
camera,
something right
guys.
when
It's
you
the
get called a
camera.
scammer.
It adds 10 pounds. The camera adds 10 pounds. I've
Yeah,
eaten
that's
5
true.
of them.
That's true. Can I ask some of you who do at-home mining? So like Vosk, Action, Andy, my mining, I have a bunch of Cadena miners that are now the most expensive paperweights that I've ever had in my entire life. But what would you say to people who are watching who are like, hey, I'm thinking about getting into mining Bitcoin at home? What would you say to them about, yeah, do that, or get into something like Quantum Expedition and have somebody else do it for you? What kind of advice, or how should somebody think through that?
Well, I think to piggyback a bit off of what Action said, and even just on the topic of DCA, right, is a lot of people know what to do necessarily, but they don't actually do it. Like actually doing the DC, actually like buying into the coin or doing whatever action. You gotta change your name, man. Doing whatever function is easier said than done, right? And so that's the beautiful thing about mining mining is DCA in a way, right? So you set up the miners and they run, but really, if you take a step back and zoom out, it's all about building systems. Systems create success, right? So don't manually DCA, right? Unless like this is your thing. Like set it up to be automatic. It happens every Friday or whenever with a set dollar amount, and that just happens, right? You buy the miner, you set it up, and it just runs. Like the miner is a system in itself. And then you need to develop some sort of system of, okay, where do I go from here, right? Am I hodling the coins? Am I selling monthly or whatever else? So that's one of the things that has kept me anchored to cryptocurrency, is just mining forced me to be systemized and play the long game. And that's why I think that there's so much value in mining yourself. If it's applicable to your situation, your interest, your power rate, or things like quantum expeditions that basically create a turnkey mining solution for you, right? You turn your capital into essentially a mining investment with quantum. So that's my 2 cents on it.
If you're in California, my recommendation for you is don't. Like that's the best thing I can say. So I will run 1 unit during the winter here just to heat up my place. That's really where it stops, because it's just not profitable. Like not even close to being profitable. Like I have the most expensive electric rate like in the whole country. It's the worst. I live here. I don't know why I live here actually, but don't if you're in California. If you have low enough power and you can leverage it for something else, maybe look into
The
it.
weather's nice.
Yes, the weather is nice. You do know this area. That's right, Mati. Yeah, and I have a wife who loves it here, and I have land and 3 amazing kids. There's all that too. But like, if you're gonna do it, try to see if you can do more than just mine Bitcoin. Like for example, the way I do it is trying to heat up my place. Some people, if you have excess solar, for example, that's a really good thing for you to leverage it on. But you might want to consider lower powered miners just because it's loud. I don't know how to say this, but it gets pretty stinking loud. If you're going to run one of these units, I'm never going to deter anyone from mining Bitcoin on their own because it's to me exciting. It's what I want the future to look like. Is like every business literally in the world having one of these units in the back, even if it's one of the smaller powered ones, just because I really do think it's worth it. I really do think that it goes a long way into securing the network. But don't waste your money, because a lot of times if you do that, you're really just, a lot of times just throwing money away because it's just way too expensive, especially in my case.
I was just going to add. I think it's a toss up in between whether Action or I have the highest electricity rates in the nation. Because in New York City, I mean, when we get spike pricing, it goes up to like 75 cents per kilowatt, right? And
84,
on
84
average,
for me
it's
at
about
peak. Don't even
36.
try.
Yeah, non-peak, it's like 32 to 36. And if you're going to be mining yourself, number one, make sure you don't have a significant other or a spouse, because these things sound like a freight train. And when you get more than 3 of them together, you start getting like this amplification of decibels. I don't know exactly what the algorithm is, but it gets exponentially louder.
Harmonics. You're describing harmonics.
Harmonics, and there's a physical curve, but it's tabling that. So that is sort of an aside. There's also the fact that, like, even host providers out there are averaging between 8 to 9 cents per kilowatt, right? Those of us that are mining, we're cheaper. We're not going to tell you exactly what, because based upon knowledge of where we are and that kind of a thing, we don't want people reverse engineering our power. I can tell you that we're significantly lower than that 8 to 9 cent threshold. But at the same point in time, you also have to calculate. You get peak offsets and that kind of a thing. You could be running thinking that, like, your miners are just being charged 8-9 cents an hour. And I'm going to pull in Doug to answer the rest of this. Doug, why don't you tell them how expensive things get on the ERCOT grid when there's a heat situation or there's a consumption situation because of a freeze? Like, these are the types of things that you have to kind of calculate.
Yeah, you can actually follow ERCOT's pricing on an app or their website, and you can see the spikes. And especially now, because there's so much new population, the population growth here in the state of Texas is just expanding. And so our additional consumption of power right now in the state is really high. And thankfully, we've got like $8 billion worth of natural gas power plants being built, plus additional. There was another battery backup system that was installed and turned on about a week ago. But with all that said, with all of that out there, we'll have spikes in the wintertime when it gets really cold, like we've had it the last couple of years. 4 years, I guess now, is when it gets super cold. And if there's ice on the solar panels and or ice on the windmills, they're not turning and they've got to ramp up everything they've got, it can get really expensive. And I've seen $500 gas or electric as opposed to 5 cents. So it's a big difference and a huge spike. So that's one of the things, though, that Bitcoin mining actually brings to the table, is we bring this grid stabilization. We have what's called demand response, and so we can power up when there's extra and we can power down when there's not enough, and literally turn off. And so with all these wind and solar that's out there, if it's a shiny day and it's not too hot and the wind is blowing like crazy and there's an overabundance of power, well, that's where we can they have to park windmills sometimes, those wind turbines. They'll have to park them because they've got too much power. And so along comes a Bitcoin miner, says, hey, turn that thing on and send it my way because I'll use all you got. And so we are able to give that power company money for an idle that would normally be an idle asset. We can turn it into an income stream for them. So there's a lot of things that these power companies are learning that Bitcoin mining can bring to the table to make them better. Hope that answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Along with that, what do you kind of see as, one of the big complaints is, oh, it's so bad for the environment. It's using all this power that could be used for something else, I guess. And what's your take on the environmental? How do you respond to that? And then also along with that regulation, because I know a lot of the regulations designed about, hey, this is bad for the environment, we got to stop it. So what's kind of your guys' the experts' take on those two things?
Yeah, I don't think that there's I mean, I don't understand bad for environment. That one doesn't make sense to me at all. So number one, if you've got extra power out there and we're able to use that power, and when there's a an extra hot day and there's not enough electricity to go around, Bitcoin miners can literally power down. And that's the beautiful thing about what Bitcoin mining can bring to the table. But when it comes to environmental issues, so right now here in Texas, we have these oil and gas companies that have gas wells. And in West Texas, there is a very, the takeaway capacity is not there. In other words, there's not enough pipeline to take away all the gas that all these wells are producing. And so currently what they'll do is they'll either vent, if they get a permit, they could vent the gas into the air, just straight methane into the air, or they can burn it off. That's called flaring. And so what I call that, and a lot of people call it stranded gas. It's gas that can't get into the pipeline. And so what Bitcoin mining brings to the table is we can go out there in the middle of nowhere and connect a container full of miners with a genset and turn that, instead of flared gas or vented gas, we can turn that into power. And that can actually lower the emissions. So, when it comes to the environment, we actually can, and there's an environmental company here in Texas that can actually help do this review and show the numbers how we can reduce emissions by turning that gas into power. Now, one of the other challenges here in the next couple of years, they're telling me that these oil and gas companies aren't going to be able to flare or vent gas at all. And so if that happens, these wells won't produce. And if the wells don't produce, these companies will go out of business. And you're like, well, yay. But what happens is when an oil and gas company goes out of business, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of orphaned wells, is what they're called, is wells that nobody's taking care of. It's just, throwing gas into the atmosphere. That is a huge challenge for the environment. So now you've got pure methane going off into the air. And so what Bitcoin mining brings to the table is we can go out there and keep these oil and gas companies in business, keep the environment clean, and we can help the whole Bitcoin ecosystem by mining Bitcoin and doing transactions and all the other new things that's come along with the blockchain.
Hey, Andy, you were telling us also about methane cleanup, and we read the Dennis Porter's report recently, like very in-depth research, and I thought it was like, okay, yes, if X amount of percentage of miners move towards methane cleanup, then it'll have a great impact on. Like, that's a big if in my mind. I mean, I haven't seen like a methane cleanup rig that would be more profitable than like a regular gas site, or more stable than an on-grid site. What's your take there? Because I think you had a bit of a different opinion than myself, or some experience in that region.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about stranded sites, stranded energy sites, I mean, these are ones that are already venting natural gas, which is a lot of methane into the atmosphere. So if you can cap that, if you can run that through a generator, if you can drop in some units, some Bitcoin mining units there in a storage container or something, you have, aside from the infrastructure cost to get it up and running, you've effectively zero energy costs. So just from that perspective, it's really, really enticing if you can overcome the challenges of it. But as we already said, like actually cleaning this stuff up, methane's a horrible greenhouse gas, and just being able to convert it into CO2 is already a massive bonus for the environment. So there's tons of people, entire companies built around capping these sites and doing this. So I think that's interesting. And it's so interesting, in fact, that Greenpeace put out a report recently, and they've actually said Bitcoin could be a good thing for the environment. They completely reversed most of their position on this, which is fascinating. So people are waking up to this. But I think the energy question, there's a whole bunch of benefits to Bitcoin mining and the grid and off grid, et cetera, and energy. But like my base level question I ask is it worth the energy expenditure, whether it's good or bad? We print every 120 days on average, print $1 trillion of new money in the U.S. And the infrastructure to support that entire system is many factors larger than the Bitcoin network. And I think that is a worse place to spend that energy than the Bitcoin network. And so, given just what state of infancy the Bitcoin network is in currently, I think it's a very worthwhile, even if it was the dirtiest of dirty usage of energy, I think it's a worthwhile place to spend that energy. But the truth is, overwhelmingly, it's like 60% to 70% renewables, and it's getting better, and there's all kinds of benefits. And so, I'm very optimistic about that whole end of the argument.
No cap, right? No cap.
When you make that that comparison, the infrastructure that's holding the dollar in place, right? So many people say that it's the might of the U.S. military that's holding the dollar in place, and you just compare that to, all the Bitcoin miners in the world it's not even scratching the surface.
Yep, absolutely. Can we talk a little bit about that? A debate that people have a lot with me is, what is the use case for Bitcoin going forward? The regulators are coming out saying, oh, it's only for scammers to send money. That's the argument that I hear coming from the Senate. And then some people say, oh, it's going to be a currency. The Lightning Network is going to be the main use for Bitcoin. People are going to use it to buy their coffee. Then some say it's a store of value, where you're just holding on to it and it's digital gold. What's your guys' kind of take on the future, the best use case for it going forward, and where are the masses going to be? How are the masses going to be using it?
So did El Chapo use Bitcoin or fiat currency? I'm pretty sure El Chapo used fiat currency, right? Well, a notorious drug lord. And so from my understanding, what I heard is like the terrorists today, at first they started, wanting to use Bitcoin or, cryptocurrency to do their, money laundering. They realize that they can be tracked. So now it's, okay, they're going back to cash, fiat currency, right? So fiat currency has been used to scam people and to money launder from the very beginning, ever since they've been using clamshells. So, it's just to me, it's just not a good argument that they use Bitcoin for, nefarious purposes. They use fiat currency for nefarious.
I don't know if it's true, but I remember a statistic that it was something like 60 to 80% of all US dollars have some trace of cocaine on them.
Yeah, it all tests positive. It's all in there. But I'll take the opposite side of this, and I'll say that yes, whenever people are getting paid for reasons that they shouldn't be getting paid for, let's just put it that way, they get paid in whatever they want to get paid in, guys. Like, that's really the truth of the matter. Like, it doesn't matter if it's fiat, if it's Bitcoin, it's whatever they are requesting, right? And I say this because I was just in Dubai. I don't know how many of you guys actually made it out there, but it was pretty awesome, and got to talk to some incredible people. And one of those people was a ex special forces, and he was recounting to me like how things happen. And it was like, man, it used to be this hassle back in the day, like carrying boatloads of just bags stuffed with cash, and then all of a sudden we were delivering flash drives, and I had no idea what was in these flash drives. And come to find out later down the line that it's Bitcoin. They were literally, shipping around Bitcoin the same way that they were using fiat, and they would go back and forth, and it was all a matter of what did the people receiving it wanted. That's really what it boils down to. So you can be, you can be a good person, you can be a bad person. Doesn't matter what currency you transact in. Just having that argument that that's all Bitcoin is good for is beyond ludicrous. It really is. It's all a matter of what the people want to use. And right now, yeah, Bitcoin is very trackable. It's an open public ledger. So if you're doing anything you're not supposed to be doing, you're getting paid in Bitcoin, that's a big no-no. That's actually not good for you. So yeah, they're definitely going back to fiat more and more.
And when it comes to uh, trying to shut down somebody's transactions like they did with and I don't want to get political, but when you look at Brex, right? The whole reason Brex has taken off is because they've been the petrodollar, if you will. The US dollar has been called the petrodollar because everything exchanges in the oil and gas world on the US dollar. So when we started doing these, different actions, different countries, and saying you can't use, can't trade, can't buy their oil. And they can say that because they can say, okay, we've got control of the US dollar, so we're not going to let you use our money to go buy oil, tankers of oil. And so what Russia and China, they just started trading on their own dollar. And so now you've got the whole organization of Brex that's now going to be trading off of the US dollar, which is off of the petrodollar. Now they've got their own petro currency. So to Action's point, yes, if people want to do nefarious actions, they're going to figure out how to get paid one way or the other. So trying to shut one thing down, they'll just go to another. You're not going to shut down crime by shutting down a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. That's anyway, I'll keep it.
So you were against shutting down Bitcoin. Is that what I'm getting from you, Doug?
I would say that would be putting it very lightly. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you guys think then? Okay, it's not for scammers. All right, we've concluded that Bitcoin is not for scammers. They're going to use it. Like, I agree 100%. They're going to just use whatever. There's always going to be crime. And they're just going to use whatever tools are available to them. So what is your take in the argument, store of value versus currency, Lightning Network? What do you guys, what's your take on that?
I think everybody's going to use it for what they want to use it for, right? Bitcoin doesn't care what you use it for. This hat says it all. As Bitcoin is, and then there's an underscore, which is blank. You fill in the blank. This hat was given to me by Russell Okung. I don't know if you know who Russell Okung is. He's a famous American football player. And he put on a conference back when I was at eToro. He gave me this hat. It was called Bitcoin Is conference. And he was the one who tweeted, "Pay me in Bitcoin." He got his managers to actually pay him in Bitcoin as part of his sports contract. And yeah, that's the dude.
There
He's large. The dude, he's huge, man. I don't know if you ever met football players in real life, but his mindset also just coming from Nigeria and being introduced to Bitcoin like suddenly in the early days. It's like it's night and day. Like you see how money works, and it's for him it was like pay me in Bitcoin. So there's payment method for goods and services, or in this case is service as an athlete. But to everybody it's something different. And I think that's I don't think there's a singular answer to what your question is. It is a blank, and you got to fill in the blank.
Okay, like it.
You want me to be spicy here, James? Lightning Network sucks. It's not what it was supposed to be, but I'm excited to see L2s come out. That's really my bottom line. And yeah, I'm usually when I get buy Bitcoin, I don't do anything with it. It sits there. That's the one thing I never touch.
I was gonna ask, when do you take profit on Bitcoin? Do you ever? I know Andy said I'm never selling my Bitcoin. So how do you make money? What's your guys' take on that? How do you decide when to take profit, when to sell your Bitcoin?
How do you take profit into your unit of account?
Yeah. I mean, my long-term plan maybe one day in a decade or 2 decades or something, I have just to use some of it because it still hasn't hit that adoption that we're all hoping for. I have to sell some to spend it. But my grand plan is in a couple of decades, I assume there will be some mature areas, some mature services and companies that will allow me to borrow against it, or it'll just simply be as adopted that I can actually spend it. But I'd be curious. Well, since Vosk is the other one here with so many Bitcoin machines, I'm curious what your plan is with all of the Bitcoin you're mining.
So it's become more difficult with the Bitcoin ETFs, and I think we have a new bottom for Bitcoin. I'm not saying this is the bottom at all, but it's going to be harder and harder to see the low Bitcoin prices, and that makes it a bit more scary. You have to be more cautious about taking profits. You're like, oh, I'll sell and I'll buy low later. But what if you never really get the low, right? And previously I believed like you'll get a low. Like there's going to be some bloody days. You get days you wish you were never in crypto. But I don't know how much we'll see of that with BlackRock being a Bitcoin investor. Bitcoin could be more manipulated than ever before now, or it will be more stabilized than ever before. But generally speaking, my mindset is when I think that we're in a ridiculous parabolic bull run, I want to sell everything. And that's like, oh my God, the crypto guy said he wants to sell his coins. Like he's a fake. But like I recognize that I'm looking for the top, right? And I want to sell somewhere around the top. And then I never leave crypto. So I'll be here the whole way down. It'll suck. And then I'll buy back my positions and have some profit along the way. And I'm not really afraid to admit that. I am very, very cautious with Bitcoin in particular, but altcoins, they're flying out the window when they're high. And there's a lot of mindset, this, that, whatever, but that's me personally. I feel like many projects don't have enough of an allegiance, especially altcoins, to their community, to their miners, to their service providers, to their node operators and things like that. And it has unfortunately eroded some of my allegiance to cryptocurrencies over the years, where I act more in my best interest as opposed to theirs. And then I just get freaking rugged and just stay poor the whole way. But I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy, right? You need me, right? I'm the peasant. I build this stuff, right? So that's my mindset. I don't know. I get jaded over the years.
I mean,
Also,
what I
I
heard
think
from both of you
it's-
guys, you're choosing rich. That's what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like I talk about this all the time. It's a matter of like, do you have a business or you have a hobby? Like I stopped calling Bitcoin mining a hobby. It's a business, right? I get to deduct things on my taxes now, the same way that I'm not selling my Bitcoin, because when I do want some cash, I'm gonna borrow against it and not pay any taxes on that money. That's the ultimate goal. I mean, that's what rich people do, right? Like they don't pay taxes on money unless they absolutely have to. That's my goal.
Yeah, to piggyback onto that, we can debate about if you sell your Bitcoin in a bull run or not, or what you do with that long term. But all your alts, just for someone who's been here for a few cycles, not financial advice. You do your own thing, but drop that stuff like it's hot when you think the time is right. 98%. 99% down from all-time high prices. There is no glory in holding things to the rock bottom of a bear market. Buy that stuff back if you want it so bad. Bitcoin, though, that's scary because we go to 100,000, we go to 150,000. You sell your Bitcoin, and then it goes to 250, goes to 350. We don't know what this cycle is going to look like. We got a whole bunch of new factors. The institutions are here. We've been talking about it for multiple cycles, and they finally, showed up. So we might go so high that when we drop down to our next bear market low, it's higher than where you sold it when you thought you were selling at the best price. So Bitcoin is a bit of a risky one to think about if you're going to, sell high and buy low and stuff. We can, debate that one. But everything else, please, listen to what Vosk just said. Listen to action. Don't hold that stuff to the bottom. There's no glory in it.
So you want me to do a KD5 giveaway? Because I have one sitting that hasn't been plugged.
Oh no.
We don't talk about Kadena here today.
The other thing for me is the way I've operated over the last couple of years in particular is I've just been straight stacking coins. I mine any Bitcoin, I mine any other altcoin. I just keep accumulating it. And I need to take profits at some point because I bleed. I bleed every month with my electric bill. I view it as my DCA, right? Kind of like I referenced earlier, but Yeah, like, it's I'm on a one-way train right now.
I get that completely. By the way, every time Andy talks, I'm gonna pull up this financial advice ticker and I'm gonna try to get him in trouble. This will be fun. Every time he talks.
I think it's okay because he's our friend.
Yeah, he's our friend. He's friendly.
We always take financial advice from our friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Your friends can give you advice.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's jump over to quantum expeditions a little bit, because that's really why we're here. We've been talking about Bitcoin for an hour, which is great, and actually we have some great audience questions that I'd like to bring up. I don't know how long you guys were planning on going for, but I cleared my schedule. I was like, hey, I'm here for the long haul, so we can go as long as we need. But maybe there's probably some here that have never heard of Quantum Expedition. They're like, what? Who are these guys? Why are these YouTubers all here together, all focused on this project? Doug or Justin, do you maybe want to just tell us a little bit about Quantum Expeditions for the people who have not heard of it before?
Yeah. What, you want that, Justin, or you want me to go?
I was gonna say, you do it more elegantly than I do.
Oh, I don't know about elegant. I have never been called elegant.
That's exactly, that's saying something right now. So,
so Oz and Marty called me up one day and said, "Hey, do you have flared gas?" And I didn't have it, but I know who did. And so that got us on our little expedition, if you will, of looking for flared gas. And we ended up getting a power purchase agreement with a power company. Go figure. And so then now, what, a year and a half later, we merged with Badger Action Club, or Mining Club, Badger Mining Club. And then by December, by the week before Christmas last year, we ended up started mining. And there was a bunch of things that we did through those 2 years of networking, meeting people, and really trying to fine tune how we were going to start mining. So when we did start mining, things were starting to pick up. Bitcoin was about 30,000 at the time, and we were able to get our miners at the bottom of the market, and we just started mining, and that was a beautiful thing. And so today, what we're doing is we started the crowd fund as well just before we started mining, and we're taking the funds from that crowd fund to help expand the company and mine more. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, our miner efficiency. We've got a young fleet of miners, and so our day-to-day job every single day, and it's not just me, but Justin, and you see Trent Stevens there on the monitor, we're all out there turning over every stone that we can turn over to find a better price for power. And that's really, the key to Bitcoin mining, is to have a young fleet and to get your price for power as low as possible. So we've got a good price on our electricity right now. And we've actually been negotiating to lower our price nearly another penny. So that's going to help our existing mining. And then I was actually on a phone call today and last week, a couple of conversations throughout the last few days on getting plugged into some gas. And, with natural gas, the price can be lower. We can lower our price on electricity with gas, but it's not as consistent as being plugged on, directly into a substation. And
so I guess I want to stop you there, Doug. Doug's just talking like, oh, we're working on getting our electric. We made a call to get our electric rate lowered. Like, normal people can't do that. So Doug is making this sound a lot easier than it is. But that's the reason that Badgerland Mining Club joined with Quantum Expeditions back in October, was the team that was already in place and how well I complemented that, and their access to power. Like, Doug's like, oh, we're working on lowering our electric rate. Normal people can't just do that. So I just want to point that out for sure. And then same, he just casually throws out and working on a gas site. Yeah, you're underselling it. So
I appreciate that.
So you're saying
yeah,
I can't call my electric company and like they won't just lower the rates if I ask them to?
yeah, right. Yeah, try being one of their top clients and doing that. They get.
So is this a
anxious.
service you offer, Doug? Can you like call up my utility company for me
Deal
and stuff and use those
negotiation.
connections?
Hey, as much time and energy I'm putting in on quantum expeditions, and you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I love that you all joined our, expedition, if you will, because you guys are such awesome people and y'all got great things to say. And I don't know what happened to Vosk, but him as well. But my number one goal is to keep our costs down, because if I keep our costs down, or as a team we keep our costs down, then our company is going to make more money. And if our company makes more money, then we'll be able to send out, hopefully down the road, some nice, decent dividends. That's our goal. And it's my number one. I mean, I let Justin take care of finding the miners, and Marty's taking care of making sure we got a fiduciary responsibility to our clients and making sure all the numbers match and everything's good. Like we just reported our financials for last year. It's on our website. It's on our WeFunder site. You can, I mean, as I say here in Texas, we lifted our skirts so y'all can see what's under there. We've got nothing to hide. And we bear it all. So, but to understand that, I mean, it's every day. And my number one concern is our power and how can I lower our cost. And so, we want to be that hybrid type company that, yes, we want to get that gas site, and we want to be mining on gas because that's going to be the lower cost. The challenge is that the uptime is not as high as an on grid on a substation. But if we can marry both and have that low cost, we can have the uptime and balance that out, and using Justin's spreadsheets, we can make it work. And that's why I think we've been able to be a profitable company even through this downturn right now. As Marty said, having is a gut punch to a miner. But when you can make it through that, and your transaction fees are so low, it's almost non-existent. Yeah, go buy something right now. Your transaction fees are almost nothing right now on the blockchain. So we've got it. It's very, very important to me, and I can't stress that enough, I guess. And but I appreciate the kind words y'all say about our company. I appreciate y'all being with us and going down this journey with us, because I think it's really cool that we're able to bring that mining aspect to an individual, whether they've got $100 or $1 million. We can help them get into the mining business.
Can you talk about the status of the fundraising and where we're at in the investment? How much time is left? Have you reached the goals you were hoping for? Kind of tell us a little bit about the investment.
And before we answer that, there's a lot of there's a lot of chatter I see in the chat box here about our skirts and whether we should lift it or not. But by the way, I want to say it's Gary Gensler's fault, right? I mean, he makes us lift our skirt. This is not a voluntary thing. If we want to raise money publicly in this fashion, we have to lift up our skirt. That's just it's the law. But yeah,
so I'm okay with all of you not lifting your skirts on camera, just for the record.
I'm not wearing a skirt, Andy. I appreciate that.
Yeah. We're wearing britches over here in Texas. We ain't got no skirts.
Britches. That's awesome. All right, now that we got that settled, let's talk about the investment.
we're very thrilled with the progress so far, and that's really in large thanks to the work of you guys, and a lot of helpful folks and people who believe in the vision as we do, and opening up the opportunity of Bitcoin mining to everybody. But yeah, we're just away. We're just shy of our first stretch goal at the moment, which once we raise $500,000 cumulatively from all investors, we're going to create a board game, which is all about Bitcoin mining, and basically this is going to be like collaborative, because everybody in Bitcoin mining sees each other as like a potential partner. It's really something that's I found amazing from the industry as soon as I dipped my toe in it. And what really made me want to be a part of this industry more than anything was that every time you speak with somebody, this person should be your competitor for all intents and purposes. You are competing for the same resources. You are, competing for the same share of the overall hash rate, right? You're competing on so many levels, but when you meet another Bitcoin miner, they're just reaching their hand out and they're saying, okay, how can I help you? Is it knowledge? Is it experience? Is it contacts? Is it whatever it is? And can we do some business together? Can we do like a joint venture? Can we do something that's going to be awesome together? And that's the board game, and that's what we're gonna try and bring out in this board game. Because how many times you sit there and play a board game with your family, right? It's like it's all about like screwing each other over, and I don't know. I play Monopoly pretty fiercely, I guess, but and I never lose, by the way. But yeah, my wife and her brother, I beat them 26 times in a row. And then
But who's counting?
So, yeah, I counted and I rubbed it in their faces. Sure. It's not about dice, that game, but the point is that we really want to bring that spirit of Bitcoin mining into a board game where you can say, okay, we're all trying to make money here, right? Who's going to make the most money is the winner, right? And who's going to be able to cut the best deals is clearly going to be the epic, right, crux of the game. But maybe Justin can share a bit more about those details, because we're getting close to that now. I'm getting excited. We're going to provide it free for all investors at cost, not free, at cost price for all investors who have invested a minimum of $100 in the WeFunder. Anybody with investment of $100 up to $1 million gets the board game at cost price. We're not going to make any money on it. We just want to produce something cool for the community.
That's awesome.
What's really cool about that is the game's already built, and like my family's a big board game family, so we've actually played, like we play tested and everything like that. We played the other day actually, and like my parents my mom still calls Bitcoin magic internet money, so that's even doing what I do, but my parents understand mining a lot better now, and kind of what goes into it and everything that I do day to day. So it's a learning opportunity too, which I think is really cool. So,
do you have any info on the board game, like any pictures or anything? I just AI generated this one real quick. Is that what the game looks like? Is that pretty accurate?
How did you get the exact image of the game?
That's pretty cool. I would play this game.
That's awesome.
This is AI generated.
I do. Hold on one second.
Okay. You can get that over. Okay. We had a few people in the audience ask, so while Justin's finding that, do you want to maybe talk about the dividends? And again, I don't know how much you can say or can't say, but that's a big question that I've been getting from everybody. Hey, are we going to get dividends from Quantum Expeditions, or do we have to wait for an IPO before we make any money? What can you say about that?
Yeah, and We would like to do an IPO, and holding to the IPO, should we reach the valuation on our roadmap that represents about 30 times on your investment, and that's regardless of any dividend. But to answer your question, Smiley Girl, the SEC does not allow us to promise dividends, and the reason for that being that any investment bears risk, and we cannot guarantee that we were going to fulfill our roadmap. What I can say is that, and Oz alluded to this earlier, a large portion of our team's compensation is in corporate equity. So the same equity that you're buying through the safe on the crowd fund is the same equity that we're holding. And the value of the equity is not just to own a piece of the company and to get the returns. Should we get to that shining place on the hill of the IPO, but also to distribute the profits of the company, which is basically the way that shares are supposed to be structured. So when what I'm trying to say in much shorter words is that when we make money, you make money.
Okay. Nope. Makes a lot of sense. We got another question. This is from Scott, which is good to see you, Scott, valued member of my community. He says, can you describe how my money invested with your company will scale better than investing in my own miners and having them hosted with cheap electricity?
Action. I think this is an action question. I've heard him answer this one many times perfectly.
Well, my first thing is that you don't want to invest in miners. I think that is not an appropriate investment.
Yes.
I invest in miners. Excuse me. I have 4 of them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes, that is the only way that I would recommend investing in miners.
This is taking
And
a
they're
turn. All right,
expensive.
here we go.
Miners
going.
are expensive.
But ultimately, it's you're simply diversifying more than anything. It's the way I like to look at it, at least. If you send a miner out to be hosted, if that miner goes down, your earnings are going to go down immediately. But if one miner from Quantum goes down, everybody is kind of bearing the brunt of that, loss. You're not going to be left with your, without a shirt on your back. And it's a matter of pulling everything together. It's almost like a mining pool, right? Like the reason why you get rewarded with mining pools is because you're not doing it alone. It's the same idea when you're investing in a company like Quantum. You're not doing this thing alone. You're part of something much bigger that can take on those inconveniences, I guess you can call them. You're not just left out to dry. Like, how long is it going to take to repair a miner? How long is it going to take for somebody to actually get parts or deal with it? And is there going to be an upcharge when it comes to those things? So when you are part of a group that is doing something together, the benefits are tremendous because you have on-site staff that knows how to fix these things. There are parts on deck, basically ready to go in case something does go wrong. They're not watching one miner. They're watching, what's the current number right now, Mati?
It's on the website. I believe it's 169.
There you go, 169. They're watching 169 miners. So one going down is not that big of a deal. And even if it does go down, they're right there to actually take care of it. So you're just mitigating risk when it comes down to it.
Yeah. Also, I want to speak to this and say that it's just a different, like I view all this as different like tiers of getting exposure to Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. I mean, you can buy Bitcoin directly, which I always recommend and always support. Well, I don't recommend, but if you're going to get exposure to Bitcoin, that's a great way to do it. And if you want to be a Bitcoin miner, you can certainly buy machines, run them at your house. There's all the complication around doing that. So maybe you instead go with a hosting company. There's still complication there. There's still different layers to it. Going with something like Quantum, you invest in the company, and then that's the end of it. That's the end of your maintenance and your complication. But also there's the scaling of the money aspect. which if you buy machines, you have to worry about when you're going to sell them, what the actual mined Bitcoin is going to be worth in the future, and maybe that performs super well, which I'm hoping it does. But buying into Quantum, for example, you're buying into the company, so you're not buying an NFT to get you a fractional share of the hash rate. There's the banner of financial advice from your friend Andy, very good. You're not buying actual miners themselves. You're buying into the and to get some equity, some share of the company itself. And if Quantum does what they, their goal is, which is to become a $1 billion Bitcoin mining company, getting in today's valuation, that's a 30x on your money with doing nothing. Now, is that happening next week or next year? No, probably not. But conceivably over the next few years, if they hit their goals and they IPO or they get acquired or something, that could happen. So I just view it like Action said, it's a way to diversify. It's a different approach at getting exposure to Bitcoin mining. What you're really buying is the people that are, these three people below us here, the team members who have all this expertise in various fields and stuff and come together to kind of build this company. So you're betting on them to do these things, which is why I'm very comfortable making the bet I have.
Yep, absolutely. I will say my mining experience, I have tons of different passive income streams. And so I thought, I'll add mining as a passive income stream. So I bought a bunch of miners and it was great. Well, first off, it was a lot of work to get them set up. But when I got them set up, I'm like, hey, there we go, passive income. And then one broke. Then I was like, oh no, now I have to spend my day today trying to figure out how to fix this. Do I send it somewhere? What do I do? And all of a sudden, my passive income was not as passive as I thought it might be. So I am happy to have someone like Quantum Expeditions. I thought mining on my own was cool at first, but it's too much work. You have to pay attention to too many things. And so I am so happy to just be able to outsource all of that and say, hey, you guys are experts. You take care of it. I will just sit and watch and do videos because that's my skill set right now. So all right, let's see. Here's another question. So there are many in the DeFi space, we'll say, there are a lot of NFT mining companies. And some of the people have talked about them, like Alpha Shares has one. I won't go through all of them, but there's Ace Mining Club. There's all these different mining companies. And a lot of them have not worked out. They had a roadmap. And then as roadmaps usually go, something goes wrong. And now the roadmap's blown up. It doesn't work. So what would you say to people who are worried about that happening with you guys? Hey, we're going to give you $1 million and then you're not going to be able to achieve. You're going to be just like these DeFi NFT projects. What would you say?
Are you really raising your hand, Justin?
Physically, I see it. Get there.
I couldn't do it through an emoji, so I had to do it that way. No, I guess the biggest difference that you'll see is a lot of those NFT projects, the entire team or some of the team is not doxed. Our entire team is doxed in public and very capable of running and growing a company like this. Additionally, a lot of those NFT mining projects won't have the miners or any infrastructure when they begin. So you're basically using the mint funds to fund their initial growth and startup process. With Quantum, you're buying into a company that's already fulfilled their promise to start mining before the end of 2023 and be a profitable company. So I guess that would be the two biggest differences to me.
With the other thing, go ahead, Andy.
Oh no, I was going to say, I've invested in a couple of different, NFT fractionalized mining projects and stuff, and I like them and the teams. But I will say there is a pretty big difference between the two things what we're talking about here. Unfortunately, a lot of those projects are people who are maybe in the crypto space, but don't have lots of experience around Bitcoin mining specifically, and they've gone out as a new venture to do this whole thing, and they're raising funds, and then they're deploying those funds, and you have to wait for all that to happen. Like Justin just said, got these things at the bottom of the screen, James, thank you. But like Justin just said, yeah, these Quantum is very different. They already have the machine. They're doing this whole thing in a very different order. But also one thing I think I want to highlight here is Quantum is based in the US, and maybe they'll expand outside of that. But right now they're based in the US, and most of these other ones are in other places around the world, which carries inherent risk of its own. And if you don't have really good connections or you don't have a lot of experience there, that gets a little bit dicey. So that's one of the things I looked at when I was looking at the team with Quantum. Obviously, we've heard from Doug a whole bunch and just his entire background, his connections and stuff. That enabled them to be very securely operating in the US, but still get those incredible like power and electric rates that you would normally otherwise from a lot of people have to go to another country to achieve. So it's just a very different model. So, you know, I value this idea of having equity in a company that's building for the long term versus just getting the rewards from the Bitcoin miners, because that's not very guaranteed. Whereas when you get the share of the company, it's potentially maybe these dividends and stuff. You're just kind of betting on the company's future success, which appeals to me.
Yeah, I was going to say the same two things. What I've noticed is, first off, Quantum Expeditions is an actual business that's being set up as an actual business. It's not just a hobby or just a crypto project that's just spun up, and but they, you know, have filed with the SEC, and they're a legit business. And then, like you said, they already had miners. Somebody mentioned that, and that is a big difference because, like you said, a lot of these NFT projects were, hey, we are doing zero mining right now. Give us $1 million and we will start mining. But they didn't really know what all was going to go into that. There's a lot of steps between, hey, we're going to start mining and actually starting mining. And QE had already gone through most of those steps by the time we start, definitely now. But by the time people even started investing, had already been through those steps. And then I also like what you said, Andy. We heard all these other companies going to other countries to get cheaper electricity. And at first it sounded great. It's a great plan. It's great on paper. But then when you actually, if you've been to some of these third world countries, you may not want to rely on them and their logistics and their power grid and all those things for your livelihood is kind of my 2 cents on that. So yeah, just echoing what you guys all said. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's what Justin says. We'll have to see how well most of them have done. Prefer to see companies run like companies like this. So yeah, totally agree. Good question. What kind of shares will it convert to on a liquidity event? Phantom shares or others?
I'm not familiar with that. Phantom shares. Does somebody on the panel know what they mean by that? Okay.
It's not the blockchain.
Liquidity event, what I believe you're asking is in the unfortunate and unlikely event of a bankruptcy on our part. In which case, the shareholders who have invested money in the company will get preferential treatment in the liquidation. So we have 2 share classes in Quantum Expeditions: common shares and preferred shares. And the preferred shares are reserved solely for people who have invested money in the company. So common shares, that's what I have, and all of the people on this panel have. And then the preferred shares are receiving money first. If something happens to the company, they get their money out first. The investors are the ones who we are beholden to, and it really is an ethos with us. In every board meeting, when we're faced with a difficult decision, our moral compass is always to ask, you know, what's the best interest of the company. I cannot tell you. Doug's popped off, so I can talk about it now. Cannot tell you how many times Doug has said, we have more than 500 investors that we are beholden to. And he uses this as a hammer in negotiations as well. When somebody tries to fuck with Quantum Expeditions, he's like, excuse me, you see those 500 people? We need to answer to them. So you need to answer right now to us because of that. That is our fiduciary responsibility. And we take that seriously. Thank you very much.
And just to answer the question very specifically, I looked it up, and I don't like phantom stock plans, as it turns out, but it's giving employees many of the benefits of stock ownership without actually giving them any stock. So that's definitely not what's going on here.
It's like a handshake deal.
Yeah, I guess.
Sounds like. Awesome. Can you explain the importance of the SEC registration?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we researched for, like, I mean, Quantum Expeditions is a spinoff of Quantum Economics. Quantum Economics was incorporated 4 years ago when I left eToro, and Quantum Expeditions is the first spinoff company. We have another spinoff company now called Quora. We're also advising on some of the top projects in the crypto industry. And so obviously everything that we do is extremely well researched. The whole company was born of the research that we were doing at Quantum Economics. And, you know, we looked at it and said, okay, and I cannot tell you how many potential investors we spoke with who said, why don't you just have a coin? If you have a coin, I'll throw some money at you. And you don't have a coin, so I'm not interested. The idea of NFTs didn't even I mean, it was barely, like, it came up, but it was not even serious. But the serious investors, and I've had some places like, we've got $2 billion over here that's all reserved for tokens. And if you don't have a token, we don't even want to talk to you. So and that you got to bite your lip at that point, but you also got to realize that there's a limited expansion path, because Gary Gensler's out there looking for people to probe anally, and I don't want to be that man. I want to be the one who's like, okay, hi Gary, we're good. Just wave your magic wand and send us on through, and we're playing exactly by the rules. So there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. What we're trying to do is actually very simple from a corporate structure perspective, which is to have investors pool their money into a company, have that company make money, and then distribute those proceeds back to those same investors. That is a very simple structure. It's been going on for hundreds of years. We don't need a newfangled technology in order to facilitate that. We actually can use the same rails that have been set up and have been working. And regulation crowdfund, regulation CF, which is what the WeFunder page is under, is actually kind of new as well. It only went into law in Obama's Jobs Act, which allowed for this type of crowdfunding, and then the SEC came out with kind of a rule book for how to do it. And if those rules are already written, and I've heard Eric Voorhees say this many times, like, you can, and I'm kind of going to paraphrase because I'm not nearly as eloquent as Eric is, or as beautiful, and his beard's much nicer than mine. But the point is that if the law wants to prosecute you, they need to find out where you've broken the law, right? And well, Gary Gensler likes to make up, well, if it hasn't been done before, or if it's a new way of doing something, then it doesn't, it is breaking the law. But in this case, we're not breaking the law. Not in any way, shape, or form. Like we've read the rule book and have done our very best to be as fully compliant, and not in a sense of crypto compliant, but actually in a sense of, like, these are the rules of crowdfunds. These are the rules of how it's been done before. Bitcoin itself and Bitcoin mining is not illegal. The SEC has clarified that Bitcoin is not a security, and therefore we're not holding a security or trading in a security or producing a security by mining Bitcoin. And therefore, the only question is on the structure of the company itself. And that was the aha moment for us. We said we just don't need to go into those other things. We just go by the rule. And then WeFunder makes it very easy for us. Makes it very easy for the investors who are coming in to make an investment of $100 or $10,000 or $50,000 or whatever it is, and it makes it very easy for us to comply with those regulations as set forth by the SEC. They're here to answer every question that we have. They do it for a very reasonable price and have an amazing website. So that is the importance of this registration. I hope that that answers your question, sir.
Yes, very, very good. Thanks for answering that. We got a question from Nuno. In Portugal and Spain, we have around 2 to 4 cents a kilowatt hour and lots of solar, wind, and hydro. Does Quantum Expedition decentralize its miners around the world, or are they all in the U.S.?
So at the moment, it's all in the U.S. We have one site running. We're looking into another site. So we want to be a multi-site company very soon, hopefully. Knock on wood, you never count your chickens before they're hatched. We are researching other places in the world with cheap power. Nuno, if you have, closer to the 2 cents, 4 cents is not going to move us to Portugal. But if you have something that is in the range of 2 cents, please do hop in our Discord, and we'll be very happy to take that conversation further. Portugal, as far as I'm concerned, it being in the EU, which is where my financial license is a pretty good country to be in. So that's something that I would say from both from a regulatory and from a safety perspective, that'd be a very comfortable and a conversation for us to have, especially if it's closer to the two.
Yeah.
Do you need anybody to
Plus,
move
they
over
have
there?
very good wine in Portugal.
Yeah.
There's always that.
Real quick, I just want to say thanks everybody for having me. I gotta roll out, but this was a fun one. Good to see
Andy,
everybody.
you're the best, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so
we should
much.
do this more often. I'll be in touch, Andy. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
advice.
My friend Andy, we appreciate you very much.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna say it for him, not financial advice. Okay, come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Let him over here.
Hey, what do you guys think of this idea? I had an idea so in my Tesla, I get free charging. What if I plug in my Tesla, plug miners into my car while it's charging and get free electricity? Will that work?
Yes. I know somebody that does it.
All right.
That's got to be a huge draw.
Yeah, you can't do as much as you think. You got to go with Gold Shell, but yes, it's doable.
Okay. All
If
right.
it's
Well, I
free,
know what I'm gonna.
if it's free, you can even mine Cadena.
Yeah.
I'll send you some KD boxes to play with.
I don't need any more. Okay, I've got plenty. That's my worst crypto loss was been my Cadena miners. So I don't buy Gold Shell products anymore. We'll just put it that way.
I have a watch they
Bitmain
sent me.
only.
You want that to go with it?
Sure. We should just trade and see what we want to do with it.
I wish
what is
Andy and Vosk were still here, because we were looking semi-seriously at the L7s, and we've been extremely hesitant to do anything that's not Bitcoin, because for us, we want to make sure that our risk is as low as possible for the investors and for ourselves. And when people talk to us about all kinds of different shit coins, for lack of a better term, and I'm going, I've been through enough cycles that I can say that, okay, you might make a lot of money, but you also might go bust, and probably will at some point. So we all believe in Bitcoin very, very certainly. But I wanted to see if we could get some opinions about L7s. That's not, we're talking about Litecoin and Dogecoin, right? Merge mining the two of those. And for me, those are both very well established coins in the market. Those are ones that have, second to Bitcoin, I think, very, very, very good names for themselves. And then there's also you can use, I think Justin was telling us about NiceHash, where you could just mine it directly into Bitcoin, where you take the profit. So you guys have any opinions about this, or somebody in the audience who can speak to it? I'd be very happy to hear more about it.
James, please, because I have way too many ideas around this one.
Yeah, well, having tried to mine Cadena and having tried to mine Doge and tried to mine Litecoin, and the miners end up not being very profitable, I would say personally stick with Bitcoin. That would be my personal take. But I don't know. Say if somebody else has a different take. My experience, I bought the Kadena. Let's see if I can find it on here. I bought the KD5, which you can see a good negative $5 a day. I bought a KD5 for $50,000, and then I bought two KD6s on pre-order, which were also about 50K each. And yeah, they're making me a good negative $6 a day also. So I'm making a good negative $18 a day on my 150K I put into Kadena miners. So
Sorry to hear
You paid full
Are
price,
you
James?
are you still running?
yeah, I pay full. I'm not a cheapskate. I pay full price for my miners.
And are you still
Not
running them
running
right now?
No, I turned them off.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not. I don't know that. Well, that's why I said I didn't want to talk about Kadena, but then I brought it up, and now we're gonna have to talk about Kadena. But all that to say,
We've
personally,
all experienced the pain of loss, James. It's not,
yes.
you're still in a safe place, and there's no great investor that I know or entrepreneur that has not experienced something gut punching, wrenching. It happens. So there's no reason to be shy about that.
All right, but with Doge and
Thanks.
Litecoin, I have to preface this by saying I'm so sorry, Randy. I love Litecoin as much as you do, but the problem there is the upside potential or the lack thereof. I mean, I love Litecoin. Their blockchain's never gone down. It's more stable than Bitcoin. But there's just nobody building for it. Like there's nothing really happening there. So you're not going to see the upside potential that Bitcoin really has. Really what drives the L7s is just Doge. Doge is really where the profits are. And again, it's an inflationary type of coin, so you got to be careful how much is going to get produced, how much adoption is actually going to have, because you're always getting more and more and more coins out there. So it's got to either burn, or people have to really believe in it for the price to essentially take off. So looking at L7s, are they worth it? They very well could be, but it's spec mining at that point. And for Quantum, I don't think that's who Quantum is. You're providing something that's way more reliable than spec mining. Spec mining is what Canadian Mining Club, like Ron was talking about earlier, does with NFTs, and that's just not where Quantum is for the time being. I mean, I completely understand if you want to get into something new, like Ron just said, the AL box, because it just came out. There's definitely profits to be taken right now, but long term, I would definitely be cautious with going L7s, especially. I mean, I'm more cautious of other people's money than my own. Like I would buy and be like, yeah, let's see what this does, and then not care about it. But others, not so much. There it is.
Don't buy gold shell products either, because Bitmain at some point will decide that they're going to make a competing product, and it will be 1,000 times better. It'll hash at 4 times the rate for half the power, and then so
I'll let you know. I'm meeting with them at Consensus, so we'll see.
There you go. No,
Yeah.
hey, Chin, your thoughts are right in line of what I was thinking. Is we've got to really think about this. Any acquisition we make right now is a long-term acquisition, and while you might make twice as much Bitcoin right now on an L7, but they cost a lot more money, and who knows what it's going to be. If you truly believe, in my opinion, that Bitcoin's going to be 100 and 250 within the next 12 months, man, you're going to have an awful convicting conversation with me to make me change my mind to get away from Bitcoin mining and do anything else.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on Caspa? That's the speculative one that I would probably consider.
So
yeah, we know somebody who's doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Caspa miner elsewhere that I'm definitely not selling profits from right now, just because they are launching. Again, it's all about the narratives, right? And where are these tokens at the current stage? Like they're right now about to launch smart contracts, so there's a lot of hype around Caspa and what they are able to do. So I am not selling Caspa unless we have a pretty darn good run, which I will probably sell half of it and then continue to ride the rest, because I'm already way, way in profit. So it's not a big deal anymore. But we're at the stage where it's a little late in the game to start mining Caspa right now, unfortunately. With these coins, you really want to get in early. And again, it's spec mining. It's not something that I would, put my money, put somebody else's money into. Rather, I would only use my own.
Yep, that's a good distinction to make. Maybe we'll call this the last question, get some final comments from people, and then we will kind of wrap up here. The Blueprint would like to know, what is the current valuation of Quantum?
Yep, you can see it on the WeFunder page. Actually, so it doesn't have a valuation, it's a valuation cap, which is the maximum amount that you're going to pay, which is 33.3 million. The way that it works is that WeFunder provides a SAFE certificate. So SAFE stands for Simple Agreement for Future Equity. And it's very common in the startup world when you're investing in early stage companies that don't have an official valuation yet. So an official valuation can take a lot of time and can be very expensive to produce. That'll happen at a later stage, right? So let's say if we do a Series A or an IPO, that'll be a valuation round. So what a SAFE does is it says that the investors who are getting in now and buy the SAFE certificates will receive the same valuation that occurs in the next valuation round, except that there's a cap on that. So if the next valuation round, just for example's sake, is a Series A in a year from now at a valuation of 66 million, you're going to be buying the same shares for 33 million that the other investors are buying for 66 million. So you're getting basically double your money in a single day. So that's basically how the SAFE works and the valuation cap. So it's often just kind of, we just say that, okay, the valuation is 33 million. But it does bear, going into like zooming in on that and what does that actually mean? And then of course, there are Bitcoin mining companies out there like, Riot and Marathon and CleanSpark. I mean, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. So, we believe that they don't have anything on us. We've got all of the talent, the connections, the know-how, the branding and everything like that, to get to that level. So of course those, CleanSpark, nearly $4 billion market cap. Yeah, so if, I wouldn't even want to know what's the upside. Maybe actions quicker on the calculator. I got my son sleeping in my arms at the moment, but 33 million to a $4 billion valuation. It's got to be what, 100x? No, couldn't be.
Yeah, 10x would be 300 million, so 100x would be 3 billion. Yeah, 100x.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
if you 100x my money, I will greatly appreciate that.
I believe that
when
there's
you 10x my money,
there's nothing standing in our way at this point that I can foresee. We're moving at an incredible clip, adding new miners every month, thanks to our investors. And the big advantage that we have over those other companies is that we don't have any debt, and they all have debt. And Oz mentioned this at the beginning, but you can't stress it enough. And we've done the math on it, and the math comes out to every month you get X amount of Bitcoin. You have to pay back that Bitcoin to electricity, and then you have to pay 60 or 70% of what's left to service the debt. And we don't have any of that because we haven't taken any loans from anybody. Your money is being used to purchase a piece of the company, and then we take that money and we go buy machinery with it. And that machinery, you're not buying the machinery, you're buying a piece of the company. So you're not just getting the produce of that machine, you're getting all of the upside potential over the next few years.
And I'll add to that, Monty. I think that the reason why I like Quantum, it's not only because of the mining. I think it's also the quality of people. I mean, even just two of you guys. I mean, Doug with his experience in oil and gas, And you with the markets, Monty, like that, talk about value. That's a huge value that sometimes goes unnoticed when you only look at numbers, right? Like, talk to me about who's running things. Talk to me about who's in charge of making things happen, and I'll invest. That's my go-to. I want to know who the people are. I want to know what they're all about, and that's the deciding factor between me putting my money down on something or not. It's really the people behind it, and obviously, Quantum has some of the best people in the world, like James.
Yeah.
Thanks, Action.
Hey, you know what I really like is when someone wanted to meet me for dinner after work one day, and he couldn't believe I actually met with him, and then he invested 10 grand after that. But that just I wanted to y'all know we're open. You're right. We've got that Discord channel, and y'all can pop in there and ask questions. Smiley girl, she'll if she doesn't know the answer or have the answer, she'll hunt somebody down to find out what that answer is and get it to them as soon as possible. Because we know that's a very important. Huh?
She does. She was on it today. Somebody was asking a question. She didn't know the answer. She goes nuts until she finds it.
She's
really
like
great
a
stuff.
battery looking for that answer. I love it. So we have a really good team. I really love our team. And you talk about how things come together, and from the very beginning and even to today, the things that happen, we see a door shut, and then all of a sudden a wider, bigger, better door opens up just a couple steps down the hall. And so there's been some people call it luck or karma or whatever, and I believe it's a divine intervention on some of the things that have happened for our company and the team that we've been able to pull together. I mean, these two guys up top, James and Action, man, I can't thank y'all enough for the words and the introductions and the things that y'all have done for us. And so it's been really, really cool to see how things have come together and to get us to where we are today. It's really fun.
Amazing. Well, thanks for letting me be part of the journey. So it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. Got to go down to Dallas, meet the team. That was a good time as well. So appreciate being a part of it. So, and Kevin's in the Discord, going to increase his investment. So there you go.
Thank
James,
you, sir.
Are you coming to consensus? That's the final thing I wanted to know.
That's
a yes. If he's not sure about it,
it's a yes. Yeah.
That is a yes.
I'm considering it. Maybe I've been traveling too much. But I would love to get down to Austin. Would love to connect with you guys again. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I can tell you for a fact I just confirmed Toki is coming down to Texas, so he'll be there. Got him squared away, so there will be.
Toki is amazing as well. By the way, we have to give a shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Toki for sure.
Toki's
awesome. We've got a great marketing team, and our ordinals. I'm sorry, say that, Maddie.
Toki pulls the whole marketing team together. I couldn't imagine doing this without him.
Oh yeah, Toki's amazing. So, all right, well, let's go ahead. We'll close here with some calls to action. I'm a marketer, so I cannot do a video without a call to action.
You got my number, right?
There he is.
Oh, man, that is good. That is good. Unintentional completely. But a few calls to action.
You walked into that one first.
I did walk into that one. I can't think of another word for calls to do something. Call to do something. First off, go check out the website. So I'll leave all these links in the chat. They're also in the description, but go check out the website, read about the company, see what they're doing. See, hey, is this something that I'd like to be a part of? Again, some people think, oh, I'm too late to the Bitcoin train. But that's not true. I think we're just seeing the beginning of Bitcoin with the ETFs that are now. I mean, Bitcoin is becoming a part of just normal life. People's retirement accounts are starting to have allocations for Bitcoin. BlackRock is incentivized to not let Bitcoin go anywhere. And so I think we're only scratching the surface. Hong Kong has started some Bitcoin ETFs. And, when the US gets on something like these Bitcoin ETFs, the rest of the world is going to get on it also. So I think we're just seeing the beginning of Bitcoin. So it doesn't mean we're not going to have pullbacks. Don't say, James, you said Bitcoin's going to the moon and now it's down to 60K today. We're going to see pullbacks. This is just the nature. Go look at the chart for Bitcoin. Okay. You can see what it does. It pulls back, then it goes forward. It pulls back. One step back, two steps forward. That's what Bitcoin does. So
that's the Texas two-step, in case you wondered.
Yeah, the Texas two-step, where you keep your skirt down as well. So go check out the website. And if you're not ready to invest, you're not ready to put money in, go hop in the Discord. Go follow them on Twitter. There's ways you can help the company without actually putting money in. Go follow on Twitter. Just increasing that Twitter follower actually helps. It helps the tweets get out to more people. You can retweet things that you see. So go do that. And then if you would like to invest, you'd like to put money in, WeFunder makes it very easy. You can actually put money in with a credit card. You don't need even to know crypto. This is the perfect investment for people who are new to crypto. Because when you're new to crypto, I tell people, they say, which altcoin should I get into? And I say, if you are brand new to crypto, do not get into an altcoin. Okay. Start with Bitcoin, figure out what the heck you're doing, and then you can maybe dip your toes into some Caspa, and some things like that. But a great way for new people to get in to crypto is with getting into Bitcoin mining, where you don't even need to worry about having a wallet or anything like that. You just can put your money into the hands of this company and say, hey, you guys take care of everything. So I love it. That's why I'm a part of it. And not financial advice. Unlike Andy, I don't actually give financial advice, but I think Bitcoin, like I said before, Bitcoin is going to do well. So I think Bitcoin mining is going to do well. So I believe in Quantum Expeditions going forward. So I'll leave that link. You can jump on there. Any final words from the rest of the panelists? The last 4 remaining. Everyone else bailed. You can see who the dedicated people are here. But any final words as we wrap up here?
Stay safe, stack sats, and hodl.
Amen.
Do a little DCA along the way.
That is good, Doug. That's a quotable thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna click
Thanks everybody for coming, and thanks to James and Action, and yeah, and for everybody who hasn't invested also. Yeah, social activity helps. So definitely, you set your notifications on Twitter, put those likes and retweets. Those help our numbers. Those help us get the word out. So even if you don't have a large following, it's still very helpful.
Yep.
All right, and then last but not least, Action. Final words for us, and then we will end the stream.
Make
No
sure
pressure.
you're smashing that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And as soon as the stream is over, click back on it and leave a comment down below, because that's how this video is going to reach more people. How's that?
Amen. That was beautiful. Well, thank you. I'm going to thank the audience. Again, the only reason every single person that was on this call I met because you guys watch my videos. That's how I was connected to every single person that is on this call. So I appreciate you guys. If you guys didn't watch, there's nothing that I could do. So I would just be streaming to an empty room and it would be lame. So thank you guys. Thank you, audience. Hope this was helpful for you. And then Action, thank you for you kind of helped connect me into the Quantum Expedition pool a little bit. So appreciate that. And then, of course, the QE team, Doug and Maddie, last 2 people standing. Thank you guys for building something in the space. Thanks for not being a rug pull. Thanks for not being a cash grab. Appreciate it very much and keep up the good work.
Thank y'all very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. God bless. Have a good night.